Before getting too deep into this video series, I should just go and explain in more detail what are Postgres and PostGIS. So, starting at the beginning, a database is a server that's designed to store, search, and filter your data. It's usually shared by all of the users of an app. There are plenty of maps that exist out there in the world that are static sites or just have a file that they link to and don't need a database at all. For example, the IKEA map of the United States. The number of IKEAs is very small and it doesn't change very often, so there can just be a list of data in a JSON file somewhere and loaded onto the page as needed. Who does need a database? If a dataset is really big, for example, all of the addresses in a country or all of the polling precincts of a country, you're trying to find out where someone's address is within that space. That's a lot of information that you wouldn't want to download into a web browser, so a geospatial database would be really useful for that. Another reason would be if data is protected, both either legally in the case of medical data or for business reasons in the case of real estate data. For medical data, you need to follow local regulations and ethical guidelines. For example, encrypting the data on your server so if someone hacked in, they would not be able to read people's personal health data. For business purposes like real estate, there's sort of a variety of reasons this could be happening, but you can think about it in this way. A real estate company makes it easy to search their data and find houses, but they don't let someone just come in and download every listing that they have and reuse it on other sites. That makes it easier for them to have a database where they can control access and limit the amount of requests that come in. Another option, or another reason that people use databases, is if the data is in real time. I give Uber here as an example, but any rideshare would be a good example of where there aren't so many cars in a city, but they change their location all the time. So when you open the app, it should just directly ask it should just directly ask the app what are some nearby cars. I'm going to say a few things about relational databases versus NoSQL. Most databases are made out of tables and searched with SQL or SQL. If you've used MySQL or MS-SQL, you might know that SQL looks kind of similar but can change a little bit between databases. There's some different NoSQL approaches which are useful in several different cases, but this discussion is mostly focused on geodata, and I found that PostGIS is the best option for me in this case. If you have certain options, it makes sense to use a NoSQL database, but the usefulness depends on its match to your project, your use case, and whether your team is well informed about how to use that database. So why am I talking about Postgres specifically? It's free, it's open source, uses SQL for queries. PostGIS is an extension to Postgres. In other words, PostGIS is Postgres with additional types and functions for geodata. If you're really involved in mapping, there's also an extension, PG routing, which helps you get directions from point A to point B using custom parameters and limitations. Postgres, if you're interested in document-based databases like MongoDB, Postgres can also store and query JSON documents using the JSONB type. Installing PostGIS, I can't really explain every possibility in one video. It depends on your operating system. Then once you get into Postgres, you can run create extension PostGIS in the SQL command. It's an option already if you have a database in the cloud on AWS's RDS service or on DigitalOcean's database service. It's not available on AWS Aurora or on the free plan on Heroku. You have to get kind of a higher end plan on Heroku before it lets you install PostGIS. I hope this explains a lot of details. You can add an issue on GitHub or ask me a question on Twitter.